For the featured art in this video, I partnered with the artist Arnaud Carrasco, who has created a Cú Chulainn with special emphasis on the key symbols of his mythos. You can check out his other work via the link on screen. I always say that Cú Chulainn is by far the most fully preserved Vishnu type outside of India, and I do not say this at all lightly. The parallel is truly incredible. Point by point, Cú Chulainn has remnants of almost all of the main Vishnu forms or avatars, but all concentrated within himself, all represented as the traits of one divine hero. If it was only 2 or 3 of these shared traits, it might be said to be coincidental, like if Cú Chulainn was only dark and short and protected cows. But when we have some 15 or so different characteristics, all precisely matching the avatars and names of Vishnu, all in one Gaelic figure, it becomes nearly impossible to deny with honesty that this is the Gaelic Vishnu. I truly believe that by the end of the video, the majority of skeptics will agree with my claim. To summarize this complex web, Cú Chulainn is Vishnu, paralleling myths from the majority of Vishnu's avatars, all in one figure, and in quite a lot of detail, too. Small, dark. Cú Chulainn, described as youthful and dark-haired, or dark-featured, often as notably smaller in stature. Vishnu. Krishna is known for his dark complexion, Shyam Sundar, and his dwarf form, Vamana, appears small before his cosmic expansion. Transforms into a beast-like form that others fear will kill friend and foe. Cú Chulainn undergoes the Riestrav, a transformation where he becomes monstrous, feared by all on the battlefield, feared even by his allies of Ulster. Vishnu. Narasimha, half man, half lion, emerges to kill Hiranyakashipu, so terrifying that even gods fear him. See also his Varaha form that also has to be pacified. Generates great heat from his body. Cú Chulainn, during his Riestrav, his body generates intense heat, symbolizing his rage and power. Vishnu. Narasimha's emergence is associated with great heat, and Vishnu's Tejas inherently involves heat as a symbol of divine energy. Krishna's revelation of the Vishvarupa, radiating immense light and energy, further parallels Cú Chulainn's luminous aspect. Generates light from his head. Cú Chulainn, the lawn laith or hero light, radiates from his forehead during his battle frenzy. Vishnu. Krishna's Vishvarupa in the Bhagavad Gita emits a blinding light, and Vishnu and Narasimha's Tejas is a form of divine luminosity. Performs a famous triple leap or triple step. Cú Chulainn, known for his salmon leap, which he uses in a triple jump when crossing the bridge to Skahak's fortress or to retrieve Ever. Vishnu. Vamana's 3 strides can be seen as equal to Cú Chulainn's 3 leaps, covering the earth, sky, and beyond, and symbolizing expansion and the attainment of the Brahman. Protector of cattle. Cú Chulainn defends Ulster's cattle during his childhood and notably during the War of the Tanbukulnya. Vishnu. Krishna is a protector of cows, Govinda, known for his love and care for them during his childhood in Vrindavan. Has his head cut off while facing down a whole army. Cú Chulainn confronts an entire army during his final battle, gets mortally wounded, ties himself to a standing stone to die standing, and is beheaded posthumously while facing his enemies, becoming thus a symbolic sacrifice. Vishnu as Makha. In the narrative from the Shatapatha Brahmana, Vishnu in the form of Makha or Mahavira faces down a whole army of opponents in a ritualistic context where his decapitation symbolizes a cosmic act of transformation or order, becoming thus a symbolic sacrifice. Is in a contested love triangle with the fire god's wife. Cú Chulainn is in a love triangle with the wife of the fire god Mannanan, while Krishna is in a love triangle with the wife of the fire god Agni. In both cases, the wife is sent back to her original husband as well. The lead or exemplar warband member. Vishnu is called Evaya Marut, the exemplar or lead warband member, while Cú Chulainn beats the other boys of Even Macha, and they have to seek protection under him. And later he is given the headship of the men of Ulster, and is also one of the main leaders among the warband of the Red Branch Knights. The Bound Wolf. Vishnu's son Virkha, or Wolf, in the Skanda Purana is bound by Skanda in a myth that is very similar to the binding of Fenrir. Skanda then overcomes and kills Varaha, thus killing the boar form as well, much like Oscar does to the boar of 4 Mile. Protector of the boundary. Vishnu is the protector of the boundary of the Vedic sacrifice, while Cú Chulainn defends the boundary of Ulster. Identified with a pillar or standing stone. Vishnu is identified with the Yupa, sacrificial post or pillar, and bursts out of the pillar in his Narasimha form. Cú Chulainn is bound to a standing stone when he dies, thus becoming symbolically unified with what seems to be a sacrificial pillar. Hunger for glory. Mahavishnu is noted for an unrestrained hunger for glory that eventually leads to his death. Cú Chulainn does likewise, as also does Fenrir. Connected with the power of the feet. Vishnu is heavily connected with feet by his 3 steps, his stepping on Bali, and being connected to the feet of the Purusha. Cú Chulainn throws his weapon with his feet. Relationship with the thunder god. The relationship between Indra and Vishnu is very similar to the relationship between Fergus and Cú Chulainn, with Fergus being indeed the Indra parallel. Rampage and subduing myth. Avatars of Vishnu have a similar rampaging and subduing myth to the avatar of Cú Chulainn, who is the boar of 4 Mile. Shiva's avatar Virabhadra is pounced on by the rampaging Narasimha, and in response, Shiva emanates Sharabha, who kills Narasimha. This is more or less the same pattern as when the rampaging Fenrir kills Odin first, but then his offspring Vidar arises in turn and kills Fenrir. The close match of the deaths of the European Vishnus to the deaths of the avatars of Vishnu himself, found in the Brahmanas and the Shaivite Puranas and Upanishads, tells us that the Shaivite versions of the myths are closer and simply more accurate to the original forms of the stories than the Vaishnava versions are, with the Vaishnava versions so often removing the deaths of the Vishnu avatars or airbrushing their rougher attributes, leading finally to a sanitized and lifeless Vishnu, a travesty and vandalism of Vishnu's own original tradition. The fact that even the double confrontation with Narasimha is there, where first Virabhadra is attacked by Narasimha and then Virabhadra reforms into Sharabha to defeat Narasimha in turn, confirms that even the intricate details of the basic pattern of events remain the same between the Shaivite version and the Norse version, wherein Odin is first attacked by Fenrir, and then his son, rather than emanation, Vidar, arises in turn to finally kill Fenrir. The same double confrontation pattern. The far-reaching and specific matches between Vishnu's avatars and the various aspects of Cú Chulainn also tell us that not only was Vishnu a fully formed Proto-Indo-European god, but the details of his specific avatars are also archaic and were originally part of one deity, the Vishnu type. The concept that he was Krishna, dark, Vamana, dwarfish, Narasimha, a man-beast, Varaha, a boar, Vrika, connected to a bound wolf form, etc., etc., was all in place in the Proto-Indo-European form of this god. Otherwise, we could not have ended up with all of these aspects preserved together so precisely in both Cú Chulainn and Vishnu, across the world from one another. Make no mistake. So we know now that Krishna, for example, was not a native Indian or Dravidian god, but Vishnu always was Krishna from his Proto-Indo-European original conception, even if his exact depiction changed and softened over time. The extensive completeness of this parallel can also conclusively tell us that Vidar is not Vishnu after all, as Georges Dumézil thought. In conclusion, we have a uniquely detailed and well-preserved version of the European Vishnu-type mythos in the figure of Cú Chulainn, and he reincarnates into a sort of doomsday form as the boar of 4 Mile, and is finally killed, much like Fenrir, or a combination of Narasimha and Virkha and Varaha. We then have a god in the mythic texts called Nate, or Noithon, in Welsh, who fits the description and the mythic role of a Vishnu type. And so we can say with relative confidence that Cú Chulainn is likely to be a highly detailed, legendary form of the god Nate, the Celtic Vishnu. This parallel opens up a vista in which we can begin to see a Vishnu-type mythos that stretches across Europe and beyond, and which has never yet been put together in full. We will explore these further parallels in a future video, and they will reinforce the Cú Chulainn parallel we have laid out here.
Hail to Cú Chulainn,
incarnation of Nate, the Krishna, Govinda, Vamana, Narasimha, Varaha, Evaya Marut, Makha, Mahavira, Vishnu of the Celts. Thank you again to Arnaud Carrasco for the amazing artwork provided for this video. You can find his work at arnaudcarrasco.artstation.com. Please check out my Patreon if you would like to support the channel and see all of the important topics I have in mind get made into videos, as well as supporting the completion of my second book, Briochan's Tower, in which many mysteries will be solved. My book, Taliesin's Map, is available from Amazon. Link in the description.